Dear diarrhea full of shit. Just fell on myself and I know it. No one else. I'm so legit. I just noticed I got 2 bruises on my left leg. I have no idea where they came from. I don't remember whacking my leg. But I forgot to mention with this company, they throughout the day, 2 to sometimes upwards of 4 times a day, they have a water truck, and it's like a commercial water truck, with like a, big truck, Eaton Fuller transmission. It's got air brakes, and it's a 9-speed, unsynchronized gears, just like it's a commercial vehicle, and they just drive it on site. But that's kind of nostalgic to drive around because it's a 2008, so it still shifts, the same. I mean, I don't really get out of second gear because that's the proper speed to do the water, so it's slow enough where it soaks in. But every now and then, if there's a truck or something, because there's trucks and equipment driving around in there, so you kind of have to get out of their way and kind of go with the flow. And I might take it up to grab 4th gear or something. Because the way a 9-speed is set up is it's reverse is all the way to the left and up, and then down is low, and then up over to the right and up is second, but that's basically first because you rarely use low, like even on a hill, and then second, third, fourth, and then you flip the splicer, splitter up or whatever, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So second gear, or quote unquote first gear, is now 5th gear. 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 gears that you usually that you shift through, but it's technically a 9 forward speed, and then you got reverse if you're in high range, but you don't hardly ever use that for nothing because that's fast. And then a 10-speed, you do actually use first gear, which is where low would be in a 9-speed. That's, just look it up if you fucking want to. But yeah, it's and you so it's first. I said look it up. Now I'm going to do it. So low is first, then second, third, fourth, fifth, and then up, over, and down 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 13 speed is basically a 9-speed, only you can split the top gears. Whatever, 5, 6, 7, and 8 with a second button on the shifter. 15 speed is 10 speed, only you can split the lower gears. And an 18 speed is a 9-speed, and you can split all the gears. And like I said, I have to throw this in that one time that I drove a 5 and 4 double stick, which I have already explained, but I will explain it again. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the main transmission, and then reverse is down just like a regular like car, if I remember correctly. And then your second gear is 1, 2, 3, 4. But you rarely use first gear is so low, you basically just use 2, 3, and 4 on your second transmission. And instead of a standard H pattern, it's from second gear you go up, over, and down into third, and then forward or up into fourth. So you're in first and second. Let the clutch out, and the gears aren't synchronized, just like a regular whatever, because they'd wear out, the synchro, mesh, for your gears. So you got to match your transmission speed with your engine speed. So first and second, and then row through into third and fourth on your auxiliary transmission, and then grab second gear in your main transmission, then go back down to second in your auxiliary transmission, up over third, up into fourth. And, like I said, the gears aren't synchronized, so you kind of have to rev, you miss that gear. At least that's how I did it. A lot of super truckers, would use, well, they don't make transmissions like that. They stopped like in the 60s or 70s, I think. But, occasionally you would find one, maybe the 80s, whatever, and I got to drive one. A lot of drivers would take their hands off the stick and shift the wheel and shift them at the same time, but I never did that. I would just grab the next gear in the main transmission and then rev it at the ding old dang wet you now, boom, and then drop the stick back into second and row through that. And it's funny, because the way it's geared, you have to use all your gears. It's kind of weird. And I drove that truck for a couple months, so by the time, I was, after about a week of driving it, or even a couple days, really, you can go around a corner, you come up on a stop quick, and you just know by what speed you're in, okay, I need to be in second gear main transmission and third gear auxiliary. And that's just what's up. And in my cool folder, the guy has two trucks. One sounds like it's like a Detroit diesel. Well, they both sound like that. They got almost like they're a two-stroke. But I don't know. It says twin stick-in or something like that. So go check them out if you want to. I think the better one where he does more shifting is the one where it just shows instead of showing out the windshield, it's showing, it just shows the floorboard like him. And I don't think he's using the clutch either. But anyway, and you don't have to use the clutch on any vehicle that's a stick shift. It's just you have to be a little bit quicker and more precise if you're in like a car or a truck versus a big commercial vehicle. The gears are like bigger and going slower, so it's a little bit more forgiving. You just sort of and grab it as if you're driving a 1990 F-150 pickup, or even your 2000 Mitsubishi fart bubble or whatever that happens to be a stick shift. You just have to be quicker about it. Just sort of drop it into gear. And you kind of got to, if you want to use your left foot on the brake, they've got to take the pressure off the gear. So give it a little gas, and then you slip it out of gear, and then just sort of rest it, and just it'll kind of drop into gear. It's something you can practice if you're so interested. I would recommend just using the clutch, but if your clutch ever breaks or whatever, you just want to show off or just have some fun driving or whatever, then there you go. So, dear online family and friends, stick shift, what is that? Hell, even big rigs, they're going to automatics. They're still, like 12 gears, but just the computer does all the shifting. You don't have to think about it. So, anyway, and this is the part where usually I say I've driven some cool trucks, and Jake brakes, you hit the switch, all the gauges, extended switches, keep your RPMs up, all of that. So you stop better, if you're grabbing every gear. And I used to haul, aggregate, so I was always, loaded out at, 79,800 pounds or whatever. And, I would split I'd roll through all the gears, but I'd keep the RPMs high. Driving used to be fun, you know what I mean? And you knew like, okay, I'm coming up to the top of a hill or whatever, chug-a-lug. Maybe you want to grab one gear down, to Jake brake it, down that hill. So you just knew, how much, you wouldn't even look at the tack. You just knew by the sound and the feel, grab it, slip it into gear, Jake brake on, maybe need a little, it's fun, man. I've talked about it before. Yeah, it used to. Yes, indeed. Trucks had metal hoods and two stacks behind the doors and all that shit. Now they're just bitch shit, just bitch shit. Anyway, sweet Katie Boo, I'm thinking about you. There's this guy down here. I still need my ding old dang. I didn't hear from that guy with the army truck, but we'll just give him some time. I'll go talk to that guy and see if he wants to maybe sell me that vehicle. There's a cab over truck down the road and all this stuff, Just, drive in there. Hi. Give him like a piece of paper or a piece of cardboard or something, That way, because I don't have an official card. But, with my name and phone number, if you're interested in selling that, I'll take it. What are you going to do with a cab over tractor truck? Drive it around. Sleep in it. We'll sleep out there together, Katie Boo. I mean, I don't have a trailer, and I'm not like an owner operator or anything. I will get my CDL back eventually, but maybe you should become an owner operator. Yeah, maybe it's one of those fate things. Yeah. Fuck that. Besides, we're gonna have kids and shit. Owner operator. Do you not know how that works? Yeah, but maybe you could just be like a local rock caller. So fuck you. I'm on the Besides, we're doing pretty good. Put in my time, And I'm probably going to be on the ground for a minute or two, 6 months, maybe even a year. Because I've been talking to people, But like I said, we're like the Army Rangers of the gravel pit. We're the first in and the last out. So, literally, we're the first ones there. We're there before anybody because we got to fire that bitch up. We got to warm it up. And then after everybody gets in the cars and goes home, it's beer 30. We're still there cleaning shit up. So, yeah, man. I guess I'm kind of goofy and shit, but I kind of dig it. And the paychecks are like, oh. So. Anyway, yep. I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow and watch. I'll still get up at like fucking 6 o'clock in the fucking morning. Blast shit. And like I said, we worked today. So it's like, well, that's it. Tomorrow night, it's a school night, quote unquote. This is my one night that I had to sleep in and blast. I woke up early anyway. Fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's like you relish. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna sleep so fucking good. But like I said, I pretty much sleep, depending on if I go to bed really early or just early, I get, 8.5, 9.5 hours every night. So, yeah. Not to sound all old and shit, but whoo, yeah. Like I said, I don't drink, energy drinks, and I'm not slamming that shit throughout the day, I don't eat anything, and I just drink water, So, good, wholesome, all natural sleep. Oh, it is fucking gorgeous. And my future bestie, Cool Breeze, has said the same thing, too, because, he's older than me, right? But I totally get it. It is very important to me. Every chance I get, every night, I want good sleep. I like it a lot. It makes the days much better too. And like I said, I have to be careful because, I like to, shit. Anyway. Yeah. You like sleeping, Katie Boo, or is it just something that you do? You go to bed, you wake up, because I like it. It's like something that I look forward to. Ooh, it's bedtime. Ooh. You know, I'm like a little puppy that, scruffs around, and kicks his bed up, and does a bunch of circles and then just lays down and lets out that, that sigh like dogs do. Cindy probably does the same thing. And you look at, maybe they'll kind of like lick their lips a little bit, make that dog sound. And you're like, oh, they look so comfortable. And then they just sort of drift off, and then they're kind of snoring, and all that. Yeah. Anyway. Yep. It's almost like it was meant to be. You're an ASMR, artiste ASMR, you like that shit. Yeah. I'll show you some more rocks tomorrow, maybe, if I feel like it. Good night, Katie Boo. I'm thinking about you. Every night. I've never had a dream about you. I had a weird dream the other night, where a girl was like mad at me, and then she started kissing on me. That was weird. Ooh, what'd you like to know? And it was actually the girl, it was Bunny Humper's doppelganger. It was that chick. No, I ain't gonna tell you a fucking thing. I could, and maybe I should, but there's some like weird parts, and it's kind of hard to explain them. You know what I mean? Because you know, for those listening in, they'll be like, "Well, subconsciously, and it's like I just no, I don't like the way that sounds." But yeah, she was like mad at me, and she was close to me, kind of up in my face, and then she just started. Anyway, yep. Uh-huh. Then she was mad at me again. It's an interesting dream. Never had it. Motherfucker. Anyway.